Yes, you've written a book that could help people interested in the peer coaching program. Would you please tell us some more about that?
Sure. The book's title is Peer Coaching, Unlocking the Power of Collaboration. And it has sort of two focuses. The first is an understanding of what makes an effective peer coach for that one-on-one relationship. And frankly, most of the book focuses on that because we haven't seen effective coaching in a lot of schools yet, and a lot of teachers still need to understand that. And the second part of it is what can we do to move coaching from one-to-one relationships to, as one of you said a little earlier, one-to-many? That is, what can we do to use the power of a coach to unlock the power of collaboration across the entire school, to help an entire school build capacity? And there we're really probably not talking about one coach, but the coaches in the school and what they can do. It's published by Corwin Press. And it's also available in Amazon, both in the print version and in an e-version. One of the things that I am most proud of about this book is that I drew on the experiences, the practical experiences of coaches from all over the world. And part of what I've done is told their stories to help other educators understand what it takes to make effective coaching. And several Swedish educators, like Jerker, were more than willing to give me their time and help me understand. And so it's not just a research-based study. It's not just a theory study. There's lots of practical classroom examples for what it takes to be an effective coach there. So one of the things, for example, that I learned is from these coaches is some strategies they've used to avoid taking on the role of expert. Because what coaches will say to you all the time is you take on the role of expert, and first you may not have many people in your coaching circle because the peers are going to see you as somehow being up on a pedestal, and they're not necessarily going to want to work with you. The second, if you take on the role of the expert, your peers are going to be perfectly willing to just sit back and let you do all the work. And in fact, there's a wonderful book by Ken Kay and Valerie Greenhill that was published here a year or so ago. And they were looking at a coaching program in West Virginia, and the coaches there were so wonderful at being experts that their colleagues had just sat back and let the coaches do everything. In fact, Ken Kay said, you know, they'd created a state of learned helplessness. So what do you have to do? How do you use inquiry, for example? You have expertise that you can use to help your peers. And you know, so one of the coaches that I met with said to me, my peers ask me questions all the time, and I'm sure I could answer them, but I never do. Instead, I ask them questions. I want them to think more deeply about their problems. I want them to come up with a solution so that the answer is their answer. And, you know, we talk all the time about what it takes to build capacity in schools to improve teaching and learning. There's one of the most important capacity building tools that you can use. Asking the right questions and letting people come up with their own answers to solve the problems that they're facing in their classroom. So these kinds of practical examples come through, I hope, time after time after time in the book.
Thanks. Helena, you've been here, you've listened into Les now.
Yes.
It's been wonderful to have you in this conversation, but you're the one really working with this. You're the teacher, you're the peer coach out there. So what will be your next step?
Well, my next step will be, we've already, my colleague and I, decided on a time to start up a project or a peer coaching activity, and she wants to create and start up a blog for her school, for her class, right, I said, so that's what we'll be focusing on, and I will take time to make a good plan and to be sure to remember to ask her the perfect questions instead, so that she comes up with the answers on her own. But I'll help her with the technical bits, because I think maybe that's where she's struggling. I will also make sure to involve my principal. I will definitely do that, because that's something that I thought about before when you were speaking, Les. And I will also definitely be sure to use psychology when I speak to her as well, so that she's engaged in the conversation. No, but I absolutely understand what you were saying, and I will take notice of that. So that'll be my next step.
And Daniel?
Just 1 second. I mean, it seems to me like the one other thing you want to think of is coaches will frequently say, I'm going to have to play a role in providing technical support with the technology. What role can the kids play in that? You're not going to be in the classroom all the time, but the kids are always there. So what role can they play? And, you know, one of the things that I've learned from Swedish educators is you guys will frequently say, we the teachers, the school leaders, and the kids are all a learning community. So what do you continually do to demonstrate that those kids play a role in teaching each other and also adults, and having them play a role in technology leadership, even in the training piece, I think is a powerful tool, and I've seen it used well in other places.
That's interesting. I think it's a very good reflection from on your side, because I think that as well as teachers in Sweden are prone to work in private, we're also prone to be, you know, everything needs to be so perfect when we enter the classroom, that everything needs to be set and it needs to be good and it needs to be perfect, instead of letting things go pear-shaped for a while and, like you say, let the kids assist you. And it makes them feel more empowered as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a single teacher that thinks it's a good idea to go in and fail in front of school.
Oh, no.
But the reality of it is it's part of life. Failure is a part of life. And so, you know, you have to, as a coach, you have to encourage your peers to take risks, but you also have to think to yourself, what's the safety net that I'm going to build so that when things don't go well, there's some way out of it. And if the problems are really technical problems, frequently the kids are the ones that are in a position where they can play a direct role in helping out. I mean, they're all aware in their own life that the technology frequently fails when they need it most. So you're just modeling that happens in the classroom and asking them for a way to help out, to come up with a solution.
I'm just going to fall in here. I want to point out something that we've been kind of talking about. We're all teachers, and we're great with kids, and we have the expectation around the kids what they can do, and we're good at helping the kids collaborate. But when it comes to our colleagues, it's like we're talking to different species of some kind, and we're not. Actually, we're working with human beings, no matter what age they are. If we could use the skills that we have with the kids and use them with our colleagues, this is going to be just fine.
Yeah, and that's not unique. You know, Suna asked me earlier to compare things there and here. We implemented coaching all across the state of Montana a couple of years ago. And when the program was being evaluated, one of the evaluators called me up and he said, I can't believe this. Here's this kind of result we're seeing. Is this unique? And I said, tell me about it. And he said, well, the teachers are saying that they felt perfectly comfortable providing feedback to students every day, but didn't feel like those communication skills translated to providing professional feedback to their peers until they'd participated in your coaching program and realized that the kind of questioning strategies you're using for conversations between adults are the kind that they'd already been using with kids. So you want to make sure that the teachers understand that the kinds of skills and strategies they've already been using to provide feedback to kids could be useful in their professional conversations. Maybe you need to do a little more training to strengthen those skills, we could all use more training to get more effective at communication and asking really solid probing questions, for example. But just beginning this process of getting people talking, using the communication skills they have and providing feedback is a critical first step.
Yeah.
Why do you do this, Les? Why are you so into peer coaching?
I see teachers everywhere I go who, at a personal level, are struggling to provide the kind of teaching and learning they know kids need. And I've seen time after time, example after example, where an effective coach provides the kinds of safety net that encourages teachers to take risks, to try and adopt innovative teaching strategies that they wouldn't have otherwise. And to say at the end of those experiences where they've tried these things, God, I can't believe that I did that. I never would have done it on my own. What's next? And I see it time after time after time. And I like that kind of empowerment that coaches are able to provide for teachers, and I want to see more teachers armed with those kinds of coaching skills so that more and more teachers can offer those kinds of powerful learning activities to their students. So it's sort of altruism and sort of a sense of greed. My own kids, I'm old, but my kids are young. My son is a college student now, and my daughter just graduated from high school in June. And their high school experience was terrible, to be perfectly honest. It was a lot like teaching and learning was for me in the 1960s. And I'd like to see that kind of instruction transform here and in schools other places around the world. I mean, to just give you one example, my son finished algebra, and he, at the end of the class, he said, "Does algebra exist in the real world?" Could be pretty sure there's a need for some improvement in teaching and learning in that class.
I've had a wonderful hour, and I'd like to sit and chat some more. Do you have any more questions, the rest of you? Sune, you have to nod your head for yes or shake your head for no. Yes, you have a question. Okay, so write it down if you have a question. So we'll just wait and see if we write something down here. It's been a wonderful time, and I thank you, Les, for giving us this time together with you. It's late night in Öland and Alingsås and all the places that we are, and it's an early morning for you. Or, no, it's about lunch, perhaps?
Midday, yep, midday.
Midday. So I hope that we will get an opportunity to chat with you again, and perhaps next time to dive deeper into some issues that we've met. And I've you know, this to create buy-in from principals. That would be something really nice to start discussing. The buy-in from principals, and also how we can help coaches like Helena to you know, evolve and grow and add more capacity to her. Now I can see that Sune's question is up and running.
Sure.
Sune, would you read it, Les?
Yeah, it must be very powerful if we can make peer coaching work. I often think that it's growing a bigger gap between the interested teachers and those that aren't interested in ICT, but now I often get a tear in my eye over the ambition that's now growing with learning. I mean, we've always had this dilemma, you know, in education. We're like teachers are the most egalitarian people in the world. We're not going to do anything at all unless it improves everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that what we're beginning to see is that it's okay if we encourage some people to advance while others don't, as long as we have a strategy over time to come back and make sure that we're doing something to address the needs of these other people, whether it's sort of accidental in the form of this, you know, we were talking about how we get a ripple effect from effective coaching earlier. That's not by design, that's sort of accidental. But when, you know, Helena was talking about learning communities, you're moving from accidental to intentional. Mm-hmm. And you're beginning to find ways to reach broader communities that include every teacher. So I think it's okay if we work with individuals who have an interest and start there, as long as we have strategies to work beyond the individual and make sure that we're addressing the needs of that bigger group of teachers that have too often been left out. I mean, I travel to schools all over the world, and first question I always ask is, who's doing a great job of using technology with really active, engaging learning? No matter who you bump into, they say, go see her, go see him, and go see her. We got to get beyond those isolated islands of excellence, and coaching can help us do that. Coaching can help unlock the power of collaboration in every classroom if we're systemic in our thinking about how we use coaches.
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful night. I've been looking forward to this in a very long time, and now it's done. So I just hope that we can reschedule a new meeting, a new session. And Jerker Perot has been nagging at me now on Twitter, asking how we could let him in. So we'll do that next time.
That's not surprising, knowing
no,
Jerker.
No.
So, and maybe next time it'll be in Sweden. You know, I've been to Sweden 9 times now in the last 5 years. I'm looking for an excuse to come a 10th time.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
We'll work on that. Yeah, we'll work on that.
That's great.
You would have to look up Öland using any form of atlas that you have, so you know where to go. So, because Öland is a really nice place to be. And here you would meet Helena, and you would meet Sune, and a local community is really working with the peer coaching project. So this is a good place to be.
Sounds perfect. I'm going to look it up on my map right after we're through here today. It's been great to meet all of you and to work with you. I've had a wonderful time. I've hoped you had some fun too.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you all, and bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.